2/3 of an octopus's brain isn't in its head, it's in its arms. And they don't wait for orders, they taste, they decide, they grab, all on their own. Stick your hand in a reef and it knows you're there before you feel it. No eyes, no head, just an arm making the call. This isn't one brain in one body. It's 9 minds in one animal. And that's the normal part. Start with where the octopus brain sits, because even that is wrong. In you, the brain sits alone at the top, sealed inside a skull, kept a careful distance from everything else. It's the throne room. Everything reports to it. The central octopus brain is shaped like a donut, and that donut is wrapped around the animal's throat. Its food passes directly through the hole in the middle of its brain. Every meal an octopus has ever eaten has traveled straight through the center of its own mind. This sounds like a design flaw, and in a way it is one. It means an octopus has to be careful about what it swallows, because a chunk of food too big or too sharp is passing millimeters from its central nervous system. But it's also a clue. It tells you this brain was not built from our blueprint and then shrunk down. It was assembled from a completely different starting point by a completely different history to solve completely different problems. And the central brain, the donut, is only a fraction of the whole story. It holds fewer than half of the animal's neurons. The rest, the majority, live somewhere no vertebrate would ever put them. So if the throne room only holds 1/3 of the mind, where is the rest of the kingdom? And more importantly, who's actually in charge? Hold that question, because the answer is genuinely one of the strangest ideas in all of biology. And we're about to walk straight into it. Remember the crevice. Remember the arm that tasted you. This is where the octopus brain stops making sense to a human and starts becoming something else entirely. Roughly 330 million of an octopus's 500 million neurons are not in its central brain at all. They run down the 8 arms, bundled into clusters called ganglia, little processing hubs, one wired to work with each stretch of the arm. Each arm is functionally its own small brain. It has enough neurons of its own to sense, to compute, and to move without a single instruction from the center. The octopus brain isn't one organ. It's a network with 8 branches that each have a vote. We know this because of an experiment that sounds like science fiction, but is completely real. Octopus arms regenerate, so researchers have been able to study arms that were surgically separated from the body. And a separated octopus arm doesn't just twitch and die. For up to an hour, it keeps behaving. It reaches, it explores. Touch it with something unpleasant, and it recoils, pulling away from danger with no brain attached to feel that danger. Offer it food, and it will even try to pass the food toward where a mouth would be. The arm is running its own program. It doesn't need the head. Now, before you file this under horror movie, look at why evolution did this. Because it's not creepy, it's genius. Think about how an octopus hunts. It doesn't chase prey in open water. It pours itself over a reef and jams its arms into 100 dark holes at once, into cracks its eyes can never see inside. Each arm is off in its own black tunnel, feeling around, and it has to make split-second calls. Is this a crab or a rock? Is this safe? Or is this a moray eel that will bite my arm off? If every one of those decisions had to travel all the way back to the central brain, wait in line, get processed, and travel all the way back out to the arm, the octopus would starve or get eaten. The delay would kill it. So evolution did the sensible thing. It pushed the intelligence out to where the action is. The arms handle the tactical, on-the-spot decisions. The central brain handles the big picture, strategy, memory, where to go next. It's less like a king barking orders and more like a team of 8 expert scouts who each know their job so well they barely need to check in with headquarters. And here's the part nobody has fully solved yet, and I want to be honest with you about the edge of what we actually know. When all 8 of these semi-independent arms are doing their own thing, does the octopus in the middle even fully know where each arm is? Does it feel them the way you feel your hand? Or are they more like roommates it lives with? Scientists genuinely debate this. The octopus may not have a complete map of its own body the way you do, which raises a question we don't have a clean answer to. When an octopus makes a choice, who exactly is making it? That's the setup, a mind in 9 pieces. Now let me show you what those pieces can actually do because it goes so far beyond anything you're picturing. Here's the next problem the octopus brain solves in a way yours never could. Reach out and touch your desk. You feel it. That's one sense, doing one job. When an octopus touches something, it feels it and tastes it at the same time through the same body part, and it does it 2,000 times over all at once. The underside of every arm is lined with suckers. A big Pacific octopus can have around 2,000 of them. And in 2020, Harvard researchers discovered what's packed into those suckers, a completely new type of sensor, one that had never been found in any other animal on Earth. They named them chemotactile receptors. Chemo for chemical, tactile for touch. They let the octopus taste by touching. But it is stranger than tasting the way your tongue tastes. Your tongue works on things dissolved in liquid. That's why you can't taste a dry rock. The octopus's receptors are tuned to detect molecules that don't dissolve in water. Molecules that just sit on a surface, coating it. So an octopus running an arm along the seafloor is reading the chemical signature stuck to every rock and shell it passes, like fingers reading a page of Braille that's also somehow flavored. And it just got weirder. In 2025, the same lab found that a lot of what the octopus is actually tasting isn't the object at all. It is the invisible film of bacteria living on that object's surface. The octopus is reading the microbial fingerprint of its world. It can apparently tell, by touch taste alone, the difference between a healthy egg and a rotting one, between fresh prey and something it should leave alone, by tasting the microbes. Now stack this on top of what we already know. Each arm can taste. Each arm can think. So the octopus isn't just feeling its way through the dark. Every one of its 8 arms is independently sampling the chemistry of the world and making its own judgments about it all at once in 8 different places. You experience the world through one control room behind your eyes. The octopus brain experiences it as a distributed cloud of taste and touch and decision spread across its whole body. And if you think tasting with your arms is strange, wait until you hear how the octopus sees. Because its eyes hide a paradox that, on paper, should be flat out impossible. Here's a genuine paradox, and for years, nobody could crack it. The octopus is one of the greatest quick change artists in all of nature. It can match the exact color of a coral reef, a patch of sand, a clump of algae in under a second, faster than you can blink. To do that, you'd assume it must have incredible color vision. It doesn't. As far as the science can tell, the octopus is colorblind. Its eyes have only one type of color receptor, which should mean it sees the world in something like grayscale. So how does a colorblind animal perfectly copy colors it can't even see? The leading answer is almost too elegant to believe. The octopus may not be seeing color with its eyes at all. It may be seeing it with its skin. Researchers found the same light-sensitive proteins that sit in the octopus's eyes, the molecules that detect light, scattered all over its skin. which raises a staggering possibility. The skin itself can sense light directly, without routing it through the brain at all. The octopus might not need to look at the reef and consciously think, match that. Its skin might detect the light bouncing off its surroundings and respond on its own, tuning the body to match. Think about what that means. Its skin is, in a sense, a giant distributed eye. The animal doesn't just have eyes, its whole surface is watching, and it pulls off the color change with a system built completely differently from every other color changer you've heard of. A chameleon, the animal everyone thinks of, changes color slowly over several seconds, and mostly does it to signal mood or control temperature, not really to hide. The octopus does something else entirely. Just under its skin sit millions of tiny elastic sacs of pigment, each one wrapped in a ring of muscles. Flex the muscles, the sac stretches open, the color appears. Relax them, the sac snaps shut, the color vanishes. It's not chemistry, it's muscle. The octopus is squeezing color onto its body the way you'd flex a fist, which is why it's so blindingly fast. And underneath the color layer, another set of muscles can raise the skin itself into spikes and ridges and bumps. So it doesn't just match the color of coral, it matches the texture. Smooth to jagged in a fraction of a second. A colorblind animal painting itself in colors it can't see, using muscles instead of pigment chemistry, guided by a skin that might see on its own. Nothing about that sentence should be possible. All of it is true. But even that, even seeing with your skin, isn't the strangest thing the octopus brain can do. Because next, this animal does something to its own mind that breaks a rule we thought was unbreakable for every living thing on Earth. It rewrites itself. Everything you are is written in your DNA. That code makes RNA, and RNA builds the proteins that run your body and your brain. It is a one-way street, and the code at the start is basically fixed. You are stuck with the genes you were born with. To change that code, your whole species would need thousands of years of evolution. The octopus brain does not wait for evolution. It edits its own code, love, in a single day while you are standing still with the brain you were issued at birth. This is real. It is from a 2023 study published in the journal Cell, and it is one of the most extraordinary things ever found in a living nervous system. Octopuses use a trick called RNA editing. They can intercept the genetic instructions on the way to becoming proteins and rewrite them on the fly, changing the final product without touching the original DNA at all. In you, this happens to a trivial degree. Only a tiny fraction of human genetic messages get edited this way, and most of it does nothing important. In the octopus, over 60% of the genetic messages in its nervous system get recoded. The scale is not comparable. It is a different universe. Here is the study that makes it concrete. Octopuses cannot regulate their body temperature. The ocean's temperature is their brain's temperature. Cold water threatens to slow a nervous system down, gum it up. So when the water turns cold, the octopus responds by rewriting its own neural proteins to keep working in the cold. Over 13,000 sites in its genetic code get edited in response to temperature. Some of those edits directly retune the proteins that fire its synapses, the very machinery of thought. And the whole change happens in a matter of hours, not generations. Sit with that. When winter comes, an octopus does not just put on a coat, it reaches into the source code of its own brain and rewrites it to run better in the cold. Then, presumably, rewrites it back when the water warms. It is the closest thing in nature to a mind that can reprogram itself on demand. We build machines and dream about that ability. The octopus was born with it. And yet, here's the turn. This self-editing, self-upgrading octopus brain comes bundled with a flaw so cruel, it almost feels like a cosmic joke. The octopus got the most upgradable mind on the planet, and almost no time to use it. We'll get there. But first, one more impossible thing the octopus brain does, and it does it while fast asleep. Watch an octopus sleep, and at first, it does nothing dramatic. It goes pale. It goes still. This is called quiet sleep, and for half an hour or so, that's all there is. And then, roughly every 30 to 40 minutes, something takes over its body. Its skin erupts. Waves of color race across it: rust, orange, dark, pale. Its arms twitch. Its eyes flicker under the surface. Its breathing quickens. For about 40 seconds, this sleeping animal flashes through the same patterns it uses while awake to hunt, to hide, to signal. And then, just as suddenly, it drops back into pale, quiet stillness. A 2021 study documented this carefully, and the researchers noticed something haunting. This two-stage cycle looks remarkably like the sleep of mammals, like ours. We have quiet, deep sleep, and then bursts of REM sleep, rapid eye movement, which is exactly when humans dream the most. The octopus appears to have its own version of both, and that active, flickering stage lines up eerily with our dreaming stage. So the scientists asked the question you're already asking: is the octopus dreaming? And could its dreams be playing across its skin? The one animal on Earth whose inner life might literally be visible on the outside of its body. They're careful, and I'll be careful too, because this is the honest edge of the science. We cannot confirm an octopus dreams. It can't tell us. And even the researchers think that if it does dream, those dreams are probably nothing like our long story-shaped dreams. The active stage is far too short for that. Maybe it's a flicker, a flash of a memory of a crab, a ripple of yesterday's reef. But here's why it matters beyond the poetry of it. In us, that dreaming stage is thought to be when the brain sorts through the day, files away memories, keeps what matters, and dumps what doesn't. If the octopus is doing something similar, then this animal, which learns fast, solves puzzles, recognizes individual human faces, might be consolidating what it learned while it sleeps, building itself a better mind overnight, an octopus brain that edits itself awake and possibly rehearses itself asleep. And this whole time, we've been describing it as if it evolved the way ours did. It didn't, not even close. And where the octopus brain actually came from is the fact that cracks this entire story wide open. Here is the idea that reframes everything you've just heard. Intelligence did not evolve once on Earth. It evolved at least twice, completely separately. Once on our branch, the line that leads to mammals, to dolphins and elephants and crows and us. And once, entirely on its own, in the cephalopods, in the octopus. And these two branches split an almost unimaginable distance back in time. The last common ancestor we share with the octopus lived somewhere around 550 to 600 million years ago. And it was not smart. It was something like a flattened worm, a simple thing creeping across an ancient seafloor with barely any nervous system to speak of. From that same dull little starting point, two totally independent experiments in building a mind began and ran in separate directions for over 500 million years. Our branch built the centralized brain, one command center locked in a skull, everything reporting up the chain. The other branch built the octopus brain, the exact opposite. A mind smeared across the whole body, arms that think, skin that senses, code you can rewrite in an afternoon. Two answers to the same question. How do you build something that can think, with no contact between them, no shared design, no common plan, beyond that one forgettable worm? This is why the octopus feels alien. Not because it's monstrous, because it is the closest thing we will ever meet to genuine alien intelligence, a mind that solved the problem of being smart using a blueprint that has nothing to do with ours. When people search the stars wondering what an alien mind might be like, they don't need to look up. One is living in the reef right now, and it has 8 arms. And it comes with a warning we should probably take seriously. We assume any intelligence we'd recognize must be like us, centralized, social, communicating in symbols. The octopus quietly says, "You're wrong. Intelligence can wear a shape you'd never imagine. It can be scattered, solitary, silent. It can taste the world through its skin and think with its limbs. If a mind that different can grow on our own planet, from our own family tree, then whatever else is out there in the universe might be stranger than anything we've dared to picture." So this animal has a self-rewriting, possibly dreaming, independently evolved alien mind. It should, by every right, be the dominant intelligence in the ocean. It isn't. And the reason why is the saddest fact in this entire story. There is a question that haunts everyone who falls for octopuses, and the comment sections are full of it. Imagine if they lived to be 100. They do not. Most octopuses live 3 to 5 years, some of the small ones barely 1. This staggering octopus brain, the self-editing code, the 8 thinking arms, the animal that unscrews jars and recognizes faces and maybe dreams, gets almost no time on Earth at all. It flares up, brilliant, and burns out in a couple of years. And it is worse than just a short life. Because the octopus does not simply grow old and fade. It is, in the most literal sense, programmed to self-destruct. At the center of this is a tiny structure behind the eyes called the optic gland. And the clue to what it does comes from an experiment back in 1977 where a researcher surgically removed that gland from a mother octopus. The result was astonishing. She stopped her death spiral. She began eating again. She lived for months longer than she ever should have. The gland, it turned out, was running a countdown. And in 2022, researchers finally worked out part of how. After a female octopus lays her eggs, that optic gland floods her body with a cascade of steroid chemicals, a dramatic shift tangled up with the same cholesterol pathways your body uses. And it triggers a devastating sequence. She stops eating. Her body begins to break down. She pours every last resource she has into guarding her clutch of eggs, fanning fresh water over them, keeping them clean, never leaving, slowly wasting away the entire time. By the time the eggs hatch, she is usually already gone. Her final act is to build the next generation out of the ruins of her own body. It is one of the most extreme sacrifices in the animal kingdom, and it is written into her chemistry. She cannot choose otherwise. And here is the deepest tragedy of it, the thing that connects back to everything we have said. Because octopus mothers die, and octopuses are loners who never meet their parents, this species cannot pass anything down. Every single octopus that has ever lived figured out the entire world from scratch, alone, in just a few years, and then took everything it learned to the grave. Nothing is inherited. No knowledge, no tricks, no culture. Each genius starts at 0 and ends at nothing. Imagine what this animal could become if it had our lifespan, if it could teach its young. If that self-rewriting octopus brain had decades instead of months and generations to build on. It's almost frightening, and it's the exact reason it hasn't taken over the ocean. Not a lack of mind, but a lack of time. Which leaves us with one last question, the one that actually matters. If this creature is this intelligent, this alien, this close to us in mind, while being this far from us in body, what is it to us? And what are we to it? For a long time, we told ourselves the octopus was just a reflex machine. Clever plumbing, a mollusk, a cousin of the clam and the snail, running on instinct. Something you could catch and cook and never think twice about. Then the stories started coming in, and they were impossible to explain away. Octopuses in aquariums learn to recognize individual keepers and hold grudges. There are documented cases of an octopus that liked one staff member and soaked a disliked one with a jet of water every time they walked past. That's not a reflex. That's memory attached to a specific face and an opinion about it. They escape. One octopus in a New Zealand aquarium became so good at slipping out of its tank at night to raid neighboring tanks and sneaking back before morning that the staff had to install motion sensors. Another famously squeezed out of its enclosure, crossed the floor, and poured itself down a drain pipe back to the open sea. That requires a map of a world it had only ever seen from inside a box and a plan to escape it. And then there are the quieter stories, the ones your fellow viewers keep leaving in the comments, and that stay with me the most. A diver who visited the same wild octopus every day for months until it would come out to meet them vibing like an excited dog. A person at an aquarium who locked eyes with a cuttlefish, the octopus's close cousin, through the glass and watched it pour waves of color across its skin and swore. Something passed between them. A connection, a recognition. We can be skeptical about what those moments mean, and we should be careful not to project our feelings onto an animal this different. But we can no longer be skeptical that something is home in there. This is a mind, a strange, distributed, self-editing, short-lived, utterly non-human mind, looking back at us across 600 million years of separate evolution, and sometimes seeming to notice us. And that's what makes the last fact land the way it does. We spend fortunes and lifetimes pointing telescopes at the sky, asking whether we're alone, hoping to find a mind unlike our own somewhere out in the dark between the stars. And the whole time, one has been down here. In the shallows, in the reef, you could swim out to this afternoon. The octopus is the closest thing to an alien intelligence humanity has ever encountered. A fully independent answer to the question of what a mind can be. It thinks with its arms, it tastes with its skin, it sees, maybe, with its whole body. It rewrites its own brain to survive the cold. It might dream in color, and it built all of that from the same forgettable ancestor we came from, walking a completely different road for 500 million years until it arrived somewhere we can barely comprehend. It asks us to be humble. Because if a mind this profound can evolve twice on a single planet, wearing a shape this unfamiliar, then intelligence is not the narrow, human-shaped thing we assumed. It's a door that can open in 1,000 forms, and we've been sharing our own oceans with one of them the entire time, usually without a second thought, sometimes on a plate. The octopus doesn't get long. A few short years, alone. No ancestors to learn from, no children to teach. Its brilliant mind blinking on and then out. But for those few years, it is proof of one of the most beautiful ideas in all of science. That life, given a different starting point and enough time, can find its way to thinking by a road we never imagined. That we are not the only kind of mind. That we may not even be the strangest. Nothing about the octopus brain belongs on this planet. And yet here it is, the most alien thing we've ever met, born from the same dust as us. So I want to know, what got you? Was it the arms that think without a head? The skin that might see? The brain it can rewrite in a day? or the cruel little clock that gives all of it only a few years to exist? Tell me down in the comments. And if you've ever met one of these creatures yourself, out in the water or through the glass, I really want to hear what passed between you. The ocean is still full of minds we haven't begun to understand. Stick around and let's go meet the next one.